We are being lied to about Charlie Kirk. And to understand why, you have to realize that our country was sold out from underneath us long ago. It's no secret that politicians on both sides of the aisle put their donors ahead of their constituents. But have you really delved into all of the donors? And more importantly, do you understand the implications of those donations? Especially when they're provided to both major parties which claim to be ideological opposites? The truth is, Kirk is being turned into a distraction, a red herring, as the real issue goes ignored because most Americans are wrapped up in trivial partisan politics. This shooting bore all the signs of an intelligence operation. Now media outlets are strategically releasing filtered information deliberately designed to provoke and inflame. They're not showing us reality. They're not showing us the norm or the majority. They're showing us the worst examples of society. They're taking the absolute fringe and playing them on repeat to the masses. The lunatics are hand-picked to make you believe a lie. The lie they want you to believe is that your neighbor is a threat to society, an enemy that needs to be destroyed. All of this is intentional. This is exactly how psychological operations are designed. Military coup manuals train intelligence operatives to isolate their target audience and foment outrage. The purpose is to create a tribal us versus them mentality, because once you accept tribal thinking, you're going to believe any lie about the other side. I'm going to tell you the truth that they don't want you to know. The truth is that you share far more in common with your neighbor across the aisle than you do with any billionaire. That's the last thing they want you thinking about, because they want us divided. I'm not going to focus on the differences between Charlie Kirk and his opponents, because that's missing the forest for the trees. The issue is not left versus right. To gain more meaningful insight into why Charlie Kirk was actually targeted, look at the facts that separated him from his living peers. He said that Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to bully him and buy his silence. He wondered aloud if the Israeli government allowed October 7th to happen in order to advance long-term political goals. He asked why Americans have the freedom to criticize our own government, but not an ethnic cleansing by a foreign one. He warned Trump not to bomb Iran on Israel's behalf, and Trump barked at him in response, angrily shutting down the conversation. He began allowing anti-Zionists to speak at his events, which he was heavily criticized for. He rejected an offer earlier this year from Benjamin Netanyahu to arrange a massive new infusion of money into his Turning Point USA organization. Literally within minutes of his death, Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted his condolences. Does he not have better things to do? Shouldn't he be working or something? That's odd. There's been no confirmation of an autopsy. For a crime of this magnitude, shouldn't there be? And of course, we can't forget the greatest offense of all to the powers that be. Charlie Kirk openly questioned whether Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli intelligence asset. This topic is taboo for mainstream political pundits because the logical conclusion of Epstein's political ties suggests that American officials are in fact embroiled deeply in blackmail operations. Yes, that's right. Our government is full of compromised individuals whose allegiance is not to us, it's to their blackmailers. They do as they're told, and they don't want to be the next Charlie Kirk. Do you know what Congress has been up to since Charlie Kirk's demise on September 10th? They blocked the release of files pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. They passed an amendment that bans the Pentagon from boycotting Israel. They proposed a bill which would allow the Secretary of State to revoke passports for critics of the Israeli government. They approved over $650 million for Israeli missile defense. The last thing our officials want is for us to talk about this. They want us fighting back and forth over Charlie Kirk because he's serving a very convenient diversion from all of these questionable activities. In the end of it all, what was ultimately the result of Charlie wavering in his allegiance to the State of Israel? He was attacked by his peers. He was threatened by Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin on their Fox News interview. Ben Shapiro has since taken over Charlie's place at Turning Point USA. That seems like a pretty clear message. Let this be a lesson to all political activists on either side of the aisle. Conformity is not worth it. Your loyalty will earn you nothing but the prison they put you in. Charlie was a dedicated supporter of Israel's aggression toward Palestinians for years. Yet the moment he faltered, the moment he hesitated to give them what they wanted, they destroyed him. There's no talking to these tyrants. There's no reasoning or compromising with these psychopaths. They're literally shooting people in public. Some of you may be asking why. Why would anyone do this? It's simple, really. For power. For greed. By turning us against each other, they'll inevitably incite fear and violence so that we will accept every measure of surveillance and control that is implemented. So what do we do about this? How do we solve this problem? For one, keep demanding the release of unredacted files exposing Jeffrey Epstein's accomplices. Sure, I know they'll never release them because they're far too incriminating, but at least this will make the cover-up obvious. Also, stop supporting politicians who accept money on behalf of any foreign interest. Do your legislators take money from the AIPAC? They shouldn't, because they can't prioritize Americans while giving billions of our tax dollars away to foreign governments. In 2024, AIPAC-backed candidates had a 96% win rate in general elections. Does that not seem like an unreasonable level of influence to you? Since October 7th, 2023, the U.S. has provided $17.9 billion in military aid to the Israeli government in order to fund their ruthless war campaigns. Are you really okay with having your tax dollars gifted away by the billions while we have sick Americans dying for lack of health care and suffering for lack of shelter? This is not about being anti-Israel. It's about being pro-critical thinking. The only sensible path forward is to oppose this senseless spending and refuse to endorse candidates that accept money from any foreign interests whatsoever. Anything less would be enabling our own oppression. Thanks for listening. This is Estella Jordan.